Thank you for joining us. I'm Sang-bu Kim, Vice President for Digital Transformation at the World Bank. It is an honor to welcome you the 2025 Global Digital Summit here in Washington, a gathering dedicated to building digital pathways for all. Digital transformation has shaped my own journey. I've seen firsthand how digital technology can open doors, create jobs and opportunities, and transform lives, but also how the lack of access can leave people behind. I'm proud to see such a distinguished group of leaders, innovators, and change makers in this atrium, including over 60 ministerial level government representatives, alongside private sector pioneers, academics, and nonprofit leaders shaping digital future. This year marks a new phase in our work at the World Bank, harnessing digital technology for innovation and impact. As we set the stage for the discussions ahead, I want to highlight a few key initiatives that will accelerate our collective efforts. The first one, the Accelerating Digital Global Challenge program we have, brings together policy reforms, financing, and private sector mobilizations under one umbrella, helping countries expand digital markets and scale impact. We are strongly focusing on building digital public infrastructure so billions of people without access to digital ID, digital payments, and secure data sharing can fully participate in digital economy. We are also expanding connectivity and digital skills for women as part of our new program with Digital Partnership Program. We are working very hard to close the digital gender gap. This is in line with our wider corporate target of connecting 300 million more women to broadband by 2030. The World Bank Group has long been a global leader in digital development, but the challenges ahead require us to move faster and think bigger. That's why we are here and what the Digital Summit is about. Over the next 2 days, you will explore AI's role in development, scaling digital transformation for all, and expanding connectivities to those people still left behind. You will hear from leaders across government, industry, and civil society, including World Bank leadership, on how we can build more inclusive, secure, and innovative digital future. Beyond these sessions, we'll dive into critical topics such as satellite-powered connectivity, scaling public sector digital services, addressing cybersecurity risks, and striking the right balance between innovation and regulation. These discussions aren't just conversation. They are a call to action. The World Bank Group is committed to driving progress and realizing your digital vision by working and partnering with all of you. I hope you enjoy the discussions today and tomorrow. Thank you again for joining us.
Much, Sang-bu. Thank you. Let's please now welcome our first panel discussion for the next half an hour or so. And our moderator is Axel van Trotsenberg, who is the Senior Managing Director of the World Bank. Please would you give them a warm welcome and join us on stage. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Global Digital Summit 2025. It's exciting that you're here, but also around the world. And it is a real importance for us. Digital is key for development. The transformation could be that consequential. And therefore, we also created last year a digital vice presidency just to put the point how important digital transformation will be for the world, and that it cannot just an afterthought, but it has to be central. And I think it's always important when we as a development institution talking about it, we need always to keep in mind that still 2.6 billion people, or about a third of the world population, is not connected. And that is a problem. That's a problem because what we could actually risk is a digital divide. It creates more inequality, less opportunity, and more marginalization. So therefore, what digital transformation has to be, when we discuss that in the World Bank or other fora, is that we have a sharp focus on development and its impact. And the great thing is digital transformation can help, namely create markets, expand markets, create jobs, create welfare. And that is actually the beauty of this, what we need to do. And we need to think during this summit how we can expand connectivity, how we can build a digital infrastructure that serves all, particularly also people in remote areas in developing countries, that they are not left out, and ensuring that AI can be used in this context to the best of its potential, but that we also need to be mindful of maybe some of the pitfalls and risks. The good news is that we are super active these days already in the World Bank. We have been expanding very rapidly in not only our portfolio, but also our analytical work and our engagement work. And this summit is just another example of this. What we hope, certainly in the discussion, is how we can get a good understanding on how can we make digital transformation as inclusive, but also as sustainable as possible, and that it really avoids the pitfall of exclusion, and that we can actually have more sustainable, equitable development of this. As Ajay often is mentioning, it cannot be an end in itself. We need to see how also the digital transformation can help us in really creating jobs and creating new opportunities for the many people that still can't find jobs, and the job challenge is enormous. So we need to look through all angles how that can be addressed. To open this summit, I have two very distinguished speakers. First, Madame Amal Elfa Seroushni. She is the new Minister Delegate to Head of Government in charge of digital transition and administrative reform in Morocco. So welcome. And also, Madame Amal is a recognized expert in AI. She brings a sharp focus on ensuring that digital transformation is not just about technology, but importantly about people. And we will hear a bit more how the Moroccan experience could be interesting also for other countries to learn from, but maybe also how we could adapt some of their practices. And then I'm delighted to have Doreen Bogdan Martin. She's the Secretary General of the ITU. That is the International Telecommunications Union. Now, what I didn't know was that she is heading the oldest international organization. So here at the World Bank, we are just young kids with 80 years. Her organization, just think how old it is. 160 years. When I got it in my brief, I thought there was a typo. So I Googled this. And now they changed a bit the name. That was International Telegraph Union. So what is clear in this is this has been around. And what is actually interesting with the institution is how these whole communication technologies are changing over time, but how you need to keep abreast, but also highlight what the potential is in terms of really making change to people's life, but also be mindful of regulatory and also challenges. So I'm delighted that Doreen joins us. Thank you. And let me kick off maybe to both of you a question. What I meant is 2.6 billion people remain offline. What in your mind are some of the bold actions that we need to do? Because that will put focus that we want to have access to these people. And what do we need to think about? Let me start with the minister.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here and to give some insights on Moroccan strategy to deal with transformation and transition, digital transition. As the name digital transition means that it will take some time. It's not instantaneous change. This is why we talk about transition and not transformation. Yes, you are right. We have 2.6 billion people that remain offline over the world. But divide is maybe in the first question, we will address the question of connection. And of course, to have everybody on board, we need to tackle some other problems, at least as important as connection, like skills, jobs, transformation, etc. So, while global internet penetration stands at 68%, according to International Telecommunication Union, only 38% in Africa are connected. And this number varies from one country to another one. Only 7% of people remain offline in high-income nations versus 78% in low-income countries. Morocco's experience shows closing this gap is not just an aspiration. It's an achievable goal with a very clear strategy, which is Morocco 2030 digital. And in our country, we made digital access as a national priority. One of the main priorities of the country is to get people over the country connected. And we have achieved an impressive number of connectivity rate, which is 90% over Morocco. Of course, this connectivity will vary from rural to not rural areas. And this progress is the result of proactive public policies, including the National High-Speed Broadband Plan, PNHD, which has brought 2G, 3G, and 4G, and 4G services to over 10,000, more than 10,000 rural areas between 2018 and 2024. And what we target is to cover 1,800 localities by 2026. As you know, Morocco has some deadlines like the World Cup, football, and African one, etc. And it's not in the spirit of Moroccan to not see the football. So, to reach the most remote communities, Morocco has also adopted diversified ways for connections. So we have connectivity through terrestrial networks, but we also invest in satellite approach, in particular VSAT satellites. And finally, this initiative of using satellites allow Morocco to target populations in the countryside or in very specific regions of Morocco. Looking ahead, Morocco is preparing for the 5G era with the ambition to have 25% population coverage by 2026 and 70% by 2030. To support this transition, the government is working on modernizing telecommunication infrastructure. There is a huge call for innovation in this area, expanding network capacity and deploying new antennas, particularly in cities that will host major global events such as the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations and the 23 FIFA World Cup. So beyond infrastructure, we recognize that digital inclusion also depends on the governance and accessibility. Morocco has made significant progress in digital rights, with the right to information law called 3113 enacted in 2018. And this law is aligned with international frameworks like the Open Government Partnership. This law enhances transparency by reducing public institution, by requiring public institutions to digitize and proactively share information, ensuring that access to digital services is both a right and reality. Finally, Morocco's journey demonstrates that bridging the digital divide requires a bold and holistic approach, one that combines investment and regulatory reform. We stand ready to work to ensure that no one and no region in Morocco is left behind in this digital transformation and also in AI revolution. We are also working on other divides, like technical ones, because there are divides in algorithmics, in models, etc. when it comes to talk about AI. And we have, as you know, in Morocco, we have the biggest data center in Africa, and Morocco aspires to become a hub in Africa. So I can maybe...
Okay, thank you
Give the
very
floor.
much. But what's important here is the message. This is doable in countries. You will need the policy, you need to have a vision, and as well as that you will need to have the regulatory framework in place as well as the complementary investments. So let me turn to Doreen.
Thank you. So Axel, you are well informed. We are 160 years old this year, and we started with the telegraph. And of course, connectivity was at the core, and I think remains at the core today. Picking up on the minister's point, I do think we need to be bold, and we need to also, as you said, Minister, be holistic. So we have 2.6 billion people that have never, ever connected to the internet. To close that gap, our latest estimate shows that we're going to need about $1.6 trillion US. That's a big number. Governments can't do that alone. We need partnerships, and we're happy that we have such a strong partnership with you at the World Bank. But it also goes beyond infrastructure. So as the minister also mentioned, we have the skilling piece. We need to invest in skilling. We also have challenges linked to affordability. So we might get the network there, but the device is still far too expensive. And I look out there, I see Vivek from GSMA. We work closely with GSMA, with yourselves at the bank. We have our Device Affordability Coalition, and we have to do more to bring the cost of those devices down. We have to tackle challenges around data packages, the cost of data packages. Taxation is a big challenge, so we got to get to those issues. Of course, at the same time, governments need to be putting in place enabling frameworks. So we need to push those enabling policy and regulatory frameworks. And then, I guess, coming back to sort of my first point, I think it is about partnerships. It's about things like our Partner to Connect. We're targeting 100 billion by next year. We're at 73 billion now, so we got a ways to go. It's also things like Giga, which is out being demonstrated here. That's about school connectivity, connecting every school on the planet to the internet. We're doing some pretty cool things on infrastructure modeling, on mapping. I think we can also do much, much more. And I think it's also about closing specific gaps. You mentioned the gender gap. We have our Equals Global Partnership. We need to double down and close that gap as well. And I think that the last piece coming to partnerships, we have our Digital Infrastructure Investment Initiative. That's something we've been advancing with the development banks, and I think we also have to do much more in that investment space.
So what you're seeing is we need to ultimately the partnerships from the private sector, public sector, international organizations, and I think also civil society will be important on this. Let me now unpack a little bit the issues on the digital public infrastructures. And I wanted to ask the minister about what are in your mind the biggest roadblocks and what are some of the lessons you would draw from the Moroccan experience that could potentially be interesting also for the broader debate for other countries? Now, what I will say is the world is very unfair because they have here a digital clock, so we have 40 minutes. So what I will have to ask you is we cannot double the time. So we'll need 2-3 minutes answers, and then I will turn to Doreen. But the minister first.
Okay, so I think the digitalization of public administration is one key pillars of our strategy. And our commitment to build more efficient, transparent, and citizen-centric government is something that is very important in our strategy, and we are happy to announce that we have made progress in AGDI. We move up by 11 positions last year in 2024. And our hope is to become one of the best countries, at least in Africa, with this indicator. However, we know that digital transformation is not just about adopting new technologies. It requires regulation. Regulation is very important, and regulation is something central, and we would like to be compliant, if possible, with the whole regulations in the world. But we know that it's like la quadrature du cercle en français. Change management in the public sector, and we would like also to focus and to improve user experience with the administration. So if I can answer the question of blocks that we started with in Moroccan strategy, the first one is about something very sensitive and critical. It is about national ID, digital ID, how to access services, how to access platforms, etc. And you know that over the world there are many initiatives working on this national ID. And we have our proposal as Moroccan how to deal with this, and there is huge work, ongoing work in Morocco. The second building block is to provide citizens with a national one-stop portal. So they can navigate easily, both citizens and also enterprises, in the huge number of services. Today we have like 2,700 services. So when it comes to people, normal people, they need help to navigate. This is why this portal is very important, and it provides the good entry for each event of life, not for services. And also there is some attention made to national digital locker. This means that Morocco is developing interoperable and secure e-wallet that will ensure compliance with international security and data protection standards. So I think main takeaway from Moroccan experience is first, leveraging public-private partnership by capitalizing on private sector expertise and fostering collaboration between the technology providers and the public sector. And this helps us to accelerate the rollout of innovative solutions, in particular in administration. Also, the second important thing is how to adapt and adopt international best practices to local realities. We have specificities, we have constraints, we have regulation. So how to take benefit from all these available opportunities over the world. And the third point, and the last one, is how to ensure that citizens will engage and also to get their feedback to improve our services. So digital transformation is not a just technical process. It must be inclusive and responsive. Morocco is actively working on engaging with the public. It must be inclusive with the public, including the Moroccan diaspora. We have a lot of Moroccan people in all over the world, and we also, the King of Morocco, God assist him, push to work with this diaspora. Morocco is also able to ensure digital services to meet the needs of all communities. And if I have time, I can develop, because we have, for example, Amazigh, we have people that use some dialects, etc. And we try to provide innovative solutions, thanks to generative AI, for example, to include all this population.
Okay. Just to go to Doreen, we have been working a lot together between the bank and ITU also on regulatory issues. What do you see right now, the emerging trends in regulations, and where do you see some emerging best practices?
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, maybe just to go back a little bit. So in the year 2000, we started with the bank this sort of famous, I think I can say, telecommunication regulation handbook. So back in the year 2000, countries were starting to privatize. Competition was starting. And so we worked with the bank to launch this first telecommunication regulation handbook. And it was intended to help countries put in place separate, effective, independent regulatory institutions to help pave the way for investment and growth in the sector. We moved from there, from telecom to ICT regulation. At that point, we started to look at things deeper, like in terms of interconnection, universal access, a little bit of spectrum. we move from there to digital regulation, looking at how telecom, ICT, and digital platforms all come together. And I think the sort of big focus, I guess consumers were always at the core. The need for effective regulation was also always at the core. The importance of fostering competitive environments, managing well scarce resources like spectrum, like orbital slots, and of course, with digital platforms, I think we started to focus more on issues linked to trust, cybersecurity, privacy, and I would say now in our big focus, kind of the shift is looking more at artificial intelligence, looking more at green and digital, so the whole sustainability angle being critical, and picking up, I think, also on the minister's points linked to digital ID, the focus on digital public infrastructure. And so that collaboration, that platform has enabled us to both gather good practices and try to ensure those good practices are replicated.
So what I would try to, you hear a lot about the digital infrastructure regulations, and sometimes you say, well, how is this all adding up? And I want to come back to the 2.6 billion people. So in your experience, when you are looking at this, how long will it take to close that gap? Can we expect that we cut these 2.6 billion in half in the next 5 to 10 years? Or does it take 15 years? Looking what you know, looking in Morocco, a trend, what could you see happening at the 2030, 2035? What is your view on that? And then I asked this also to Doreen. And we have to keep it short because of the time.
Me first, okay. For 2030, I think we can solve many problems. The first one is to be agile. How to deal with different categories of the population. In Morocco, we launched a program for kids and bigger, from 8 to 18. 8 today, in 2030, will be at the university. So our target is kids and teens in particular. The program in sense of the framework is to provide this new generation with the necessary skills to be able to enter in the workforce, in the market. This is one thing. The second thing is to target the population that suffer from literacy, for example, old people. And these old people cannot be left behind. So we provide solutions made on generative AI. So we can deal with apps that use text and speech, and we can navigate between text and speech. Generative AI will provide a very accurate solutions in this area. And also, you can have translation with you can write, you can read, etc. And we also know that innovation will be necessary to be competitive. So being competitive means that we develop research, a very accurate research to accompany this transformation of the market, of the jobs, of everything. So we have many, many initiatives in that sense, and if it's time, I can stop here.
Doreen, your take.
So, I mean, technologically, it can be done. And our goal is that we connect everyone by 2030. I mentioned the 1.6 trillion is a big number, but if governments prioritize digital, if investors prioritize digital, and if we have solid, sound partnerships, I firmly believe it can be done. We have terrestrial solutions, we have submarine cables. I look to His Excellency, the Minister of Nigeria, who co-chairs our submarine cable resilience group. We have amazing things happening in space with new low Earth orbiting satellites. We have some interesting opportunities with direct-to-device. So the opportunities are huge. The challenges are also big. We have to have the right policies. We have to build in that skilling. We have to tackle the affordability challenges. And I think we also have to keep sustainability at the core. So as we further advance digital, let's remember sustainability, circular economies are also critical.
So thank you very much. This brings us to the end. I think what is important for the summit, we need to keep in mind, in sharp focus, the 2.6 billion people that have no access. You mentioned that this is costing maybe $1.6 trillion over the next 5-6 years. That's about 0.25% of GDP per year. That is doable with private sector support. So I think what we need to have agility, focus, but also to see how this links back into the labor force. And actually, what I think is important is that this doesn't remain an elusive target, but that it is doable. I think this is the idea also why we have a vertical, is not to do the study, but actually get going with the private sector, with other partners, to actually make it happen. And it's good to hear that it can be done. So hopefully the discussion will be also focused in the next 2 days on how to do it and how we actually partner with the private sector, with governments and other partners to make it happen. So let me thank the Minister as well as Doreen for joining me, and looking forward to a great 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you.